This is DJ Dub of the Fantasy Couriers, and we are proud to partner with Underdog as the official sponsor of the Fantasy Couriers podcast. If you haven't done Underdog yet, what's holding you back? Take a chance, jump on. This is draft season, and Underdogs has many best ball drafts that you can join in on. So during the offseason, go to Underdog, join a best ball draft. Keep an eye out. There might even be some Fantasy Couriers best ball drafts coming up. And during the season, great pick'em contests that are live now for in-season play. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Use the promo code Couriers, and you will get your deposit matched up to $100. Let me say that again. Deposit matched up to $100. So what's holding you back? Jump onto Underdog, have a blast, enjoy, and let's get ready for the show.
Happening, fellow fantasy GMs. I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub, and with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Oh, JJ Wang, as we are recording, we're recording Sunday night. The last preseason game is airing. It is time for football. Cuts are going to be made. Though we are a week and a half as of this recording, depending on when you get it. So a week from Thursday of this week from real, meaningful, useful football.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, honestly, it hasn't seemed like I think it's gone by really, really fast. Usually it kind of lulls by, but I think with the amount of fantasy talk that we actually do, I feel like it makes it go by way faster. Because back in the day, you're really not even thinking about football, so it just drags on and drags on. But we talk about it so much. It's just like the season ended yesterday.
Yeah, and everywhere I go, I find someone to talk to. I find somewhere to, and speaking of which, I'm up to. I'm not gonna. If people have read them, they'll get some of the information next week. More articles popped up this week. I had 2 more contributions. I have them actually. If you want to see them, all the articles done. I've started a link page on the Fantasy Couriers website. There, you can go see any articles I've contributed to. If you don't want the spoilers, don't look at them because they might be part of my bold prediction show. One of them was sleepers, and one of them was bold predictions. So it's fun and it's kind of exciting, and what was it? Someone was saying, "Do you get paid for that?" I said, "No." What did they say? You get like humble points or pride? Or
yeah, but what you get, I mean, what you get is the accepted into like that fantasy aspect. You know, you'll be in the club. Does that make sense? You'll be part of the crew. You'll be part of the crew. I mean, because with your excitement, I mean, you seem to be on every list that they do at this point. So, I mean,
if they send it
before long, these people are going to be coming to you.
If they send it, I reply. Also, I didn't discover if you're looking at the sleepers one, anybody go all the way to the bottom. My brother told me they had my 4 sleepers actually listed in there. I thought they just put my snippet in there, which you won't agree with. So don't read it. Don't read it, JJ Wang. I'll talk about it. You're going to puke a little bit when you read it. I put it for that. So, but anyway, take a time, everybody. Help to expand Couriers Nation. Like us, whatever you listen to us on, click the little like button. Leave us a review. That would do awesome. We'd love to see the reviews go up. If you leave a review, I will take 50 cents and buy a stamp and send you some stickers. If you share us within the group, also, Apple Podcasts, somewhere you can do it. I did notice that on Spotify you can leave a review as well. But most importantly, the Outrageous League is live, looking for people to join. $25. It's all it costs, and all the money goes to the Wholehearted Foundation. You will actually, next week on the Bold Predictions Show, the man behind the Wholehearted Foundation will be one of our guests on the show. Might even have him speak about it, but it's an organization where families of kids with heart conditions get supported. They take care of the families. So he told me about it. I was like, dude, that's awesome. But the Outrageous League, quarterbacks, crazy. You can start 3 quarterbacks. It's 14 teams. Jump in if you want to make a donation straight. Yeah, it's going to be nuts. I told you it's outrageous. The scoring is nuts. Everything is crazy. If you want to pay directly to the site, just send me a receipt. I'll pop you in the league. If you want me to pay, send me the money. I'll send you a receipt. We'll call it through. But information's up on the website. Email us. Let's get it on there. Let's get it filled. Everybody's slow.
So over under when QBs aren't taking. Because I feel like QBs are going to be like the first 28 picks, right?
Maybe 32.
32. I mean, yeah. I don't see how you can take anything else as your first two
Well,
picks.
but tight ends are it's PPR with tight end +1 premium. So
I don't
tight end
care
Travis
how
Kelsey
many
might be worth
tight end
more
premium, but
than Ryan Tannehill. So it'd be right there's where the cutoff will be. Travis Kelsey probably right about that end of the
well, I'm
quarterback.
not drafting Ryan Tannehill at all ever. So
If you have one
you're,
quarterback and it
I
gets
would
there,
I would definitely draft Kelsey over Tannehill. To definitely do that.
you have like pick one and then it comes back around. Your pick
Yeah.
28 is
Oh
Travis Kelsey
God.
and Ryan Tannehill, and then the
I
other
think
loop around is Jimmy Garoppolo.
I,
That would be like heaven for me, for you.
I'm going. I'm just going one quarterback. I'm just.
And you got to start a backup in the second slot. That's being said, we do need to apologize. I was listening and getting the podcast, so we were so excited with the rankings, we forgot the big news of last week. I was like, "Oops, oh well." So we're going to hit up a couple newses. We're going to talk about our guys, and then just talk about our excitement for the league by comparing some players we are ready for. Zeke signed a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots. If you look at it, it's all a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It's 1 year for $6 million, but for him to reach $6 million, it's a whole laundry list of stuff he will never attain. They say it's like 1 to 3 maybe $1 million, but it's kind of funny how they look.
I mean, yeah, you said big news. I mean, Zeke is looking kind of big these
He
days.
looks like the fridge.
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, good for Zeke. I mean, if you can still get paid at this point, go ahead.
So he's probably going to vulture this year, I bet, from Ramondre. How does this affect your? I mean, dynasty. I would say honestly, we probably agree. It doesn't affect Ramondre long term too
I
much.
mean, honestly,
Short
this
term.
might actually help Ramondre a little bit because now it can actually move him into the role of like the third down back more with Zeke playing that short yardage, type. So I mean, it might get Ramondre more catches as in the pass game. He might lose a touchdown here or there. By the end of the day, I still think Ramondre wins out, and so Zeke may not even make it through the whole season.
But as you said, before, like Harris was there last year taking those. But on the verge of that, Pierre Strong will no longer be catching passes for New England. Did you hear this while you're refereeing today?
Oh, I did not.
Pierre Strong is now a Cleveland Brown. So
Oh,
he might mess up all of our Nick Chubb love.
yeah, I had no idea. So that hurts me with a little bit with Nick Chubb, of course, because Pierre Strong showed he was a reliable, I won't say reliable, but a decent running back last year. It's going to take away. So if you're going to trade for the guy, you're probably going to use him. So, I mean, it hurts a little bit. But it's Nick Chubb. I still see him getting a whole bunch of carries and a whole bunch of touchdowns.
You would say so Zeke is greater than Pierre Strong in 2023? Or is it
I
that
don't.
close for
I
scat back?
think that
I mean, Strong should take a month or two to get acclimated, I think.
yeah, but Zeke may not even be around by the end of the year. So I mean, I think they end up with like the same fantasy numbers.
Wow, we'll bookmark that one. Dalvin Cook, thank the good Lord, he is not a Miami Dolphin right as A-Chain goes down, but he got 1 year and with all of his incentives and crazy wacky doodle with the Jets up to $8.6 million. I didn't look too deep into his incentives, but more importantly, Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall as a backfield, if Breece is healthy, say October, November, could that be the best backfield since Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, we'll see. It just depends on how much each of them get used. But yeah, talent wise, I mean, I don't see there being a much better backfield than that.
And where does it move you on? I might be getting ahead of the game, but where does that move you on Breece and Cook as far as where you think of them for a year? I mean, rankings or tiers or whatever you want to.
I mean, I don't see either one of them being able to reach like that RB1 that we was expecting Breece Hall to get to, and maybe even Dalvin Cook to remain. I think that eliminates that, but I think probably mid to lower running back twos. I think they're gonna because you can't take the ball out of either one of their hands. I mean, they're both really really good,
I
and
think
they both deserve the ball.
they could be 2021 at the end of the year with Dow Cook front loading and Breece Hall back loading, and that it's gonna look great on paper at the end, but it's gonna be frustrating. I think
Yep.
I'll be like excited to start even. Josh Jacobs he is gonna be a Raider this year, 1 year, 12 million, and then next year he's gonna run it. So that's good for the Raiders.
Well, yeah. I mean, Josh Jacobs was a stud. I mean, Josh Jacobs has been a stud running back his whole career. How can it not be good to keep him? and he's going to get the ball even more because they got Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. This guy is not well. They'll have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback for the first 6 weeks. Then they
O'Connell.
will no longer have Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. But yeah, I mean it's good. I mean, whenever you can have a stud running back in your backfield, I mean it's good.
Oh, dude, I hate to bring this up. Trey Lance. Trey Lance.
You know what? I mean, honestly, I don't. Now I say I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I mean, I deep down, I mean, I still root for the Cowboys. And if Trey Lance was going to go anywhere that maintained my love for him as much as it could, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Because now I get to root for Trey Lance with a star on his helmet. I mean, they might have gotten. I might have more love for Trey Lance now than
Wow.
I did when he was with the 49ers.
I
I
don't
love
know
this
about
guy.
that. I,
Love
I,
this guy.
I think for Trey Lance, like I'm a Dak guy, so it was just seeing Trey Lance, and I thought that Minnesota would have been perfect for him. But yeah, I mean, he's got the opportunity. I mean, Dak's not proven to be the epitome of health, so we might see him, or he's gonna be some trivia question because of all the players that ended up coming out of that weird all trade with Miami. Jonathan Taylor. Heels are dug in. The Colts said he could choose a trade, which I heard a podcast guy say over the weekend. Like, that's kind of like saying, hey, go out there, try to sell yourself, knowing that nobody thinks you're valuable and we don't think you're worth crap, but we're going to ask for the bank.
Yeah, I mean, why would you not? I mean, are you giving away Jonathan Taylor for a little bit of nothing? Now, they're trying to appease Jonathan Taylor. We're like, look, if you want to leave, we're giving you an opportunity, but we're not going to give you away for pennies. I mean, sorry, that's not how this works. I mean, these guys are businessmen. They're not. If they made bad deals, they wouldn't be billionaires, right?
Crystal ball, Jonathan Taylor. Here are basically the three scenarios. He gets traded to a team, probably the Dolphins, for
I don't
some.
think he gets traded.
I don't. Okay. Does he go to the pup for 4 weeks, or does he start the season there and he's just a grump all year?
I think he just starts the season. He's got to play well. He wants to get paid. If you put if you
He's
if
not a
you
Colt next year. That's
if
what makes me
if,
think he'll be
if
traded.
you're a grump and don't play well, you're not going to get the money you want. That's not how. I mean, these guys want to perform.
I mean, the only reason I would think of him getting traded to somebody, anybody, I've heard the Bears. The Bears give Khalil Herbert up or someone like that, Johnson maybe, but because they're getting nothing from him next year. There is no way on the planet Earth he's going to sign with the Colts
That's fine.
unless.
They'll just give him 350 touches this year, run him in the ground, and be like, move along, get your money somewhere else. We'll get another running back that can do pretty much the same thing.
But they're not winning this year either. That's the challenge. They're not going to win this year, so why not see what you can get and move him on? I don't know. It's a tough
Yeah,
thing.
see but that's Jonathan Taylor. You
Yeah.
get more than let's just see what you can get. I mean, it's not Trey Lance. I mean, you want a good return.
And I'm sorry, this is the bad news JJ Wang show. Jerry Judy.
I mean, it happens. I mean, people get injured. I mean, I still like the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not as serious as they thought. I mean, we were looking at the first 3 weeks of the season. I mean, he can still come back week 4 and still have a dominant year. So, I mean, it's the NFL. I mean, if I didn't think any of these guys weren't going to get hurt, I'd be crazy.
Who's gonna make it? 17 games is just too
Yeah.
much. So I'm sure there's some other things that'll pop up as soon as we're finished recording. As we're recording, the game is on, so who knows? Someone's going to pull a hammy in there as we go. My guys, not my guys. My guys is what our friends, the footballers, call them. We call them our top guys. We talked about that earlier in the off season. I went back and looked at our top guys. I'm not even gonna. If you want to go find out how terrible they were, go back. There are names like Gainwell and Algier, names on there that just make us. Trey Lance. I see.
Hey, Trey Lance is still my guy. So, I mean, he's still one of my top guys.
There's some garbage on there. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna name 5 guys that are our final 5 my guys. And next week during the bowl prediction show, we will name my guy for the year. Sound
Yeah.
good?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, my guys are pretty much, I mean, I did add one, but the rest of them are guys I've been harping on all
I had
year.
3.
So, I mean, I still got Lamb. Lamb and Judy are still my guys, but I don't want to. I don't want my top guy to be that's already a top guy. I want him to come from the bottom and reach his way to the top. So I mean, I mean, and that's why the other three guys I've got Sam Howell and John Dotson. That is two guys. They're combined as one. I'm a big Commanders fan this year. And then my last guy is Tank Bixby. I mean, this guy's coming on strong. We'll talk about him a little later. I don't want to spend too much time on
Oh,
him,
good. I wanted to bring him up.
but
I wanted to
I mean,
bring.
this guy is coming on. This guy's coming on strong. Who you got?
So my guys, I threw out a bunch. My list was terrible. Apparently, I'm no good. I don't know why fantasy. I looked at my list. I was like, why do I have Kenneth Gainwell? Oh yeah, they some of their.
Because it's not so much guys that are going to be huge fantasy.
Gonna
These are
be
the guys
nothing.
that these guys. He's not going to be
I mean
much. But I
nothing.
mean, you can't help who you like.
Yeah.
That's it's
So
life.
my guys, I added a couple guys at running backs. Like there's so many good receivers, and the receiver I really would be my guy was Tyreek, but he is the guy. He's a top three receiver. So I'm gonna throw him in there. But I'm looking at Cam Akers. He's a guy that we both like. He's one of my top guys. I think he's going to continue to roll this year, unless the Rams played like their second team did this weekend and get rolled by the Denver Broncos, who did it without my other guy, Russell Wilson, who I think is going to have a bounce back year with Sean Payton. Yeah, I love it. That's why I love it. I could put him in there. I might put Sutton in there with Judy not playing. Maybe they make an early connection and go on. Or I could put Troutman in there for you if you really want me to, since he derailed my Greg Dulcich hope for a season. A guy that I was big on last year added to my list is Damian Pierce. I loved him. I remember talking about him. He was like the highest rank. I want to say was it Pro Football Focus? Someone last year, one of the highest ranked running backs coming into that draft. And I just loved him, and I was a supporter of Pierce before it was cool to be a supporter of Pierce. So I like to be able. I like that. I like loving him. I love that with Chig as well. But I didn't. I was like Chig. I don't think he. I'm not sure about him with Tannehill at quarterback or anybody they have at quarterback. And then a guy I've been blowing the horn for him. It's Miles Sanders. I think Miles Sanders 3 down back. It's on paper for me. I should put the guy I'm going to put next week, but Miles Sanders I think is a 3 down back is going to have a really good year. He's not going to be a top 3 running back. He could skirt lower end RB1, and then the last guy on my list is, you know it, number 1 in my heart, Miami's heart, Tua Tagovailoa. He goes anywhere from like what quarterback 8 to 15, depending upon where you are and how you look at him. And so, I think if he doesn't hit his head on the ground, I saw him tackle some people recently. That Dolphins offense, regardless of if I'm a fan or not, they are going to put up some points, and he's got to throw them. I mean, they're going to get them through the air.
Yeah, I mean, if he's playing all the games, he's going to be a top. He'll be a QB1, top 12 quarterback. I think it'd be pretty easy. But like I said, is he going to play enough games? So we'll see. But like I said, I did. The offense looks like it's going to be fun. I mean, it's not going to be hard for him to make plays. So I mean, like, stay healthy, my man.
So, but yeah, so this week's episode is aptly titled NFL. I just lost the name of it. NFL season excitement. So we're going to go through some players, see what each other thinks of some guys that we are running through. I'm going to use some of my rankings. JJ Wang has some guys he wanted to toss out as we go through and just see where we are going into the season. Good news. I mentioned it last week. Fantasy Bros did re-up me. So throughout the season, our official, since I'll do them, rankings are going to be located on the website for us. I'll let JJ Wang said he's going to do them 1 week for me. I'll let him do them, and he'll be like, "Oh, this isn't that bad. Any monkey can do this." And but as we'll go through the season, we'll see if I'll be able to brag any weeks about having some top rankings, or if it's going to be like the start of last year, which was terrible, very terrible.
It happens. It happens, man.
Week 1 rankings will be up probably midweek next week, Labor Day, hopefully. Okay, give us your first question.
My first guy that I want to bring up here is he's killing it in the preseason. I love preseason. I just want everybody to know I love the preseason. I'll jump on anybody's train. But I've been on this guy. I like him a lot. I just want to know, Kenny Pickett. I mean, the guy's just absolutely torching the preseason. I mean, he's on fire. I mean, now granted, he's not playing against the best preseason. We can't get excited. But I feel like we can expect so much more than the 9 touchdowns and the 5 interceptions that he had or something crazy. Well, it wasn't good last year. But with the way they're talking about Pittsburgh, the way he's playing in the preseason right now, can we expect Kenny Pickett to outperform where he's being drafted right now?
As you were talking, I forgot how much I've fallen in love with Kenny Pickett. And
I love this guy, man.
Kenny Pickett is my quarterback 17 right now. I just moved him up there right after my least favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, for multiple reasons.
But you
Um,
got him way too low, buddy.
yeah, and people, yeah, I do. But the quarterback's deep, dude. I just don't. I don't believe in New York Jets, or Aaron Rodgers in general. Right in front of Stafford. But I mean, yeah, I think if the Steelers are going the way it looks like they're going to go, they got two great receivers, an older guy to teach them, a great tight end, two really good running backs with Jalen Warren hype coming through the roof. Well, the guy behind the center either makes this team or breaks this team, and I've said multiple times how he was the best player I've ever seen throw 4 interceptions in my entire life. So yeah, I did not like Kenny Pickett one iota last year, but he's growing on me. He's growing on me. I got to say I'm with
So
you that I just
so
moved him.
can we? Is it possible for him to flirt with that like QB 13, QB 12?
It's gonna be, I think, tough because if we're looking in the range of, at least with me personally, I could
Look,
pull
all right. So I definitely think Kenny
that's Kirk
Pickett can have a
Cousins.
better year than Dak Prescott. 100%.
Whoa, that's great. Like I'm a Dak guy. So for 12, 13, for me that he could do that easily. I mean that for me that's the Russ, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones range.
Yeah. So I think yeah.
All
So I
time
mean,
kind of area. He could flirt with it if he slings like he's been slinging. Yeah.
yeah. I just feel like the love for Kenny Pickett's growing and growing. It's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going to bring up a topic of discussion on the Couriers Facebook page. I currently have Keenan Allen at wide receiver 16, and it was actually one of the two or three topics on there. So he is behind basically Calvin Ridley, Devontae Adams, and T. Higgins, but in front of DK, Drake London, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, that kind of an area. So in the middle of just the mess of really good receivers. What are your thoughts? And I'll tell you some of the things I commented back and forth with guys.
I love Keenan Allen, but I mean, if he plays the whole season, I don't see why that 16 isn't that's a legitimate number. I think that's exactly where he belongs. And we don't play fantasy by injury, so it's hard for me with my age bias that I do tend to throw out there to take a wide receiver that old that early. But it would not surprise me one bit if he can maybe finish a little higher, maybe 14,
Oh yeah,
maybe because Herbert's going to play better than he did last year. Herbert's going to put up better numbers. He's got to, right? So if he does that and Keenan Allen's on the field, he loves him some Keenan Allen. So
that's what in my discussions I was like, we're looking at Keenan Allen, right? T. Higgins, Devontae Adams. If the Chargers are going to be as good of a passing offense as they should be in the Wild Wild West guns, if the gunslinger there, he is the best receiver on there. We know Mike Williams could be the most physically gifted, but he's Mr. Glass. If
yeah,
Mike
Keenan
Williams,
Allen's the most reliable. You know he's going to be open. I
he
mean,
runs smooth routes.
he's
He's
open.
just stellar. He gets open, and I mean, we go back to what Herbert's rookie year when they said stop throwing to Keenan Allen. He's like, but he's so good. So if that offense is going to be that good, somebody's got to be that good. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to pass to 22 guys, and it's going to be Keenan Allen rolling right in there with him.
Yeah, and another guy real quick that you mentioned earlier that I'm kind of growing hype on is Calvin Ridley. I mean, I really starting to like him a little more. We don't have to talk about it, but I'm really starting to like him
He's
a
right
little more and
above.
more.
He's at 13
Yeah,
for him, man.
yeah. I mean, I'm getting a little.
I'm curious. I'm scaredly
I,
curious.
I seen Trevor Lawrence toss him a beautiful ball, and he just came down with it. I was like, oh God, that's amazing. That's going to be like that all year long.
I was, what was I? Remember when, was it last year, the year he was my wide receiver one? Was that the year,
Yeah,
or was
yeah.
it 2 years ago? Yeah. I might have been a year late. Who knows?
So
But
maybe.
what's your next hot take here?
So I brought him up a little earlier. I'll go into Jacksonville. Speak, while we're talking about Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley, we'll just stay right there. I'll bring up Tank Bigsby. I mean, ever since this guy was a freshman in college, he was touted as the guy. But his career in college didn't quite pan out. But obviously, you could still see that he was an amazing back. So coming into Jacksonville, they had ETN. Evidently, the coach thinks ETN can rush for like 10,000 yards and have all these touchdowns. But if Tank Bixby, the way he's playing in the preseason, like I said, I love preseason hype, so don't judge me. everybody's talking about him, thinking he's and if you watch him play, and he explodes off the ball. I mean, he looks fast, he looks great. Is it? Can we expect more of a split than people are thinking when it comes to Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne?
No,
You know,
I don't think so at all. I'm growing on Tank, and all you hear is how much bigger Tank Bigsby is than Travis Etienne. Here's the tale of the tape. Tank Bigsby, 6 foot tall, 213. Travis Etienne, 5'10", 215. This much difference and 2 pounds more. Etienne, to me, is an elite talent. The talent of Etienne coming out is amazing. He led that the Trevor Lawrence team in rushing for all those years at Clemson. Was a stud there. Tank
but
Bigsby on the could not get the ball rolling in SEC. Why magically?
but you also have to realize Tank Bigsby was an elite talent in college, playing for an Auburn team, and Etienne was a talent playing for Trevor Lawrence and Clemson. Now, if you were to switch roles, we would be talking about Tank Bigsby being just as elite as Travis Etienne.
Would we? Because I mean, we could compare that to like Zach Evans, who was a great college cut, but everywhere he went,
Oh no,
somebody
no, you
beat him
can't.
out. So
You
he was
can't
supposed to be this great
compare.
player, but
You
everybody
can't
went.
compare. You can't
I don't
compare
see it.
Tank Bigsby to Zach Evans
I
because
don't see it.
Tank Bigsby was a 5-star prospect coming out of college, and Zach Evans was nowhere near that. So you
Oh,
can't compare Zach Evans and Tank Bigsby like that.
yeah, I think
But yeah,
looking regardless, I think it's also he was playing against a lot of twos, and let it be noted he did cough the ball up to Javon Holland last
oh
night.
yes, I seen that. I seen that.
But they also said I think Tank Bigsby, if you're banking on him this year, it's going to be later in the year.
Oh
Peterson
yeah.
has said that he's going to ease him in more. So if we do see him, it might be really getting the touches late October, November. Unless I mean, if ETN dominates, Tank Bigsby is
Right.
going to be an afterthought or an injury away. Obviously, I mean he is the clear cut. If ETN goes down, Tank Bigsby, yes, he'll be in my top 15 every week, if not top 10, depending on who they're playing.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I
Yeah,
still love ETN. I mean, I've got nothing against ETN.
that was going to be one of my discussion points too. I was like, because I was looking at the tape, talking with a guy who actually said that our rankings last year helped him win his championship. So that was kind of cool. I told him I'd throw him out there. The discussion that came up, another one is going back to wide receivers, is between Devonta Smith, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. How far apart statistically do you think those three guys could be?
So I think Garrett Wilson is top 5 wide receiver. I think Devonta Smith is top 10 wide receiver, and I think Chris Olave is top 15 wide receiver.
What do you think? Because I have them all within pretty much a bubble. So if I was to tier, I'd probably close them because I'm not as high on Garrett Wilson. Mainly the Aaron Rodgers effect. Like he might be good. He's not been great recently. But we're looking at last year. Devon Smith had 96 receptions for I think 11, 96, and 7 touchdowns. Where would that fall if he does? What do you see as a Garrett Wilson stat line? 1,300 yards, 100 catches, and 10 touchdowns.
I mean, don't give me that. Like I said, I'm all over the hype, and I just love me some Garrett Wilson at this point. But I can see Garrett Wilson having like 15, 1,600 yards and 10, 11, 12 touchdowns.
Isn't that for next week's show? Bold.
I don't think that's a bold prediction. I mean, I already have Garrett Wilson as a top 5 receiver. I mean, I've stated it already.
Wow. Yeah, I would not. Let's see. Right now, ECR, Garrett Wilson is 10 and Smith is Dynasty 14. So he does have, I just have them flipped around just barely, but I think they're within a
Yeah,
bubble.
I love you know how much I love Devonta Smith too. I just like Garrett Wilson a little bit more. He is the true number one and only real receiving option in in New York. And I think
Alvin Cook.
Aaron Rodgers is going to kill it. And I think it's going to be fun.
So, because it felt, it's just a bubble there. It was an interesting discussion where,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like all 3 of those guys. I mean, I love all 3 of those guys.
because the argument they really made was more, he's the wide receiver too. And I was like, oh no, but I never got a response back. Jalen Waddle. Is he the highest wide receiver two of all 3 of those big two? So you're looking at him, you're looking at Smith, and you're looking at T. Higgins. Of those 3,
I would, I, I'd go Devonta Smith. I mean, I think Devonta Smith has a real chance to overtake AJ Brown as the Eagles wide receiver one.
Well, I had them back to back, so I just put Waddle slightly higher. But I
But
mean,
yeah,
it's
like I
slightly
said,
higher. That's a ranking problem.
I love me some Jalen Waddle too. I mean,
Yeah.
I all these guys. I would have. I would love to have all these guys on my team.
Okay, you got one more topic for
Yeah,
us?
yeah. One more. So as far as since we're on wide receivers, I'll just stick it right there. So we know Justin Jefferson, elite talent. We all know that wide receiver one. Don't think he's going to finish below that. We all know Kirk Cousins, as much as we don't want to admit it, is an elite talent for fantasy football, top 12 QB. Now, with the addition of Jordan Addison and the amount that they're going to throw, I think they're going to throw the ball this year more than they ever have. Without Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison is nowhere near that level. So they're going to throw the ball a whole lot. And Jordan Addison seems to be the real deal here. And if Kirk Cousins can make Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, two top 12 receivers, is it possible that Jefferson and Addison join the ranks of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, AJ Brown, where I'm Devonta Smith,
Yeah,
where I'm going.
no big deal.
Could this
Yeah.
I mean, could it be where these are the next guys up?
It totally could be, and it'll be interesting to see if Addison. It's always that wide receiver in year one is very like Devonta Smith wasn't the guy that we love now in year one. He wasn't chopped liver. I mean, he had a pretty good year.
But Jalen Waddle was right.
Jalen Waddle, he got the receptions. He didn't score, but he broke the reception record in his rookie year. So at 6 foot, buck 74, he's like Devonta Smith. Like build. I I feel like I'm wishy washy because I could see them spreading the like Justin Jefferson's gonna get his. Addison looks like he's an amazing player, and I'm still stuck, and I don't know why. It costs me hundreds of dollars, but don't sleep on KJ Osborne.
Oh, I'm
And
not.
I think that could KJ Osborne hurt him this year, and then he sneaks it up next year. That's my thought, and I don't know. Like I mean, he is the two by de facto, but who will get more of the touches based upon protection, knowing the routes and so forth within that team? I don't know.
I think that offense is going to be just going to throw the ball.
Oh yeah,
Oh boy.
so they could
I
all
mean,
three. Could be like that 800, 800, 1700, something
I
like
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like KJ Osborne a lot, but I think Jordan Addison is just an extreme talent, dude. I think it's gonna be fun.
that. Okay, I have one last question. Name one or two guys that the fantasy community loves that you think is going to fall on their face this year, and like in the first two rounds that somebody's gonna be like, oh man, I just blew a first round pick. Next year they're going to look back at their draft boards and go, man, that was not a great pick. So next week we're making bold predictions, guys that are going to kill it. Who's a guy this year that most people think is going to kill it, but you sort of are like, pump the brakes?
That's a tough one, right off the top. So let me think. I'll probably go running back. But is it crazy to say Joe Mixon? I mean, I feel like Joe Mixon. If everybody thinks he's going to be great because he's the only option that they have. But I've heard you say it earlier in earlier episodes. He had that one huge gigantic game that propelled him to being like that top running back that he usually is. I know he's going to get the work, but I just don't see Joe Mixon being an RB1 at this point. I think he's more of like that, like RB maybe 18, 19. Is that where he's typically drafted at?
I know he's falling. I got him at 13, and I'm a little higher, I think, than most. Like so. I mean, he seems to just watching things. You either love Joe Mixon, and you're like, dude, he's gonna be a top 10 running back, or you hate Joe Mixon, and he's like 19. And I think in that offense, I know what you're saying because if you look at his stats, I mean, his yards per. I'm trying to yank it up here real quick. I don't think his yards per carry last year was not
like I said,
that good.
He was okay, but like I said, it's all going to be volume based. I get that. I mean, it's still good, but I don't know. I'm just not excited. Just not excited for Joe Mixon. And I got a wide receiver real quick.
Yep.
Like I'm thinking Debo Samuel. I like Debo, but I don't know. I'm just not that high on him. I think he becomes like the third option.
Mhm.
But maybe even the fourth option now that they got McCaffrey. So I'm not super high on Debo Samuel either.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. My running back, because I love Debo. He was one of my favorite guys, just because he's called Debo, and I loved Friday. But Tony Pollard, there, I can't explain it. I got two guys. Tony Pollard is the higher one. The lower one's Alexander Madison. People are talking. I mean, I got Alexander Madison buried, but those two guys are RB1s. People are talking about, and I don't know. They both have opportunity. They're both in the right spot, but they're not in my fantasy expertise passing the smell test. Something smells funny, and I don't know what it is, but something just seems like it's gonna miss for both those guys.
Well, I think the issue
Getting a
with
lead.
Tony I think the issue with Tony Pollard is going to be people are going to expect the exact same numbers with more volume. That's not going to happen. I think he might get more volume, but the overall efficiency of his numbers come down a little bit. The yards per carry maybe come down a little bit. He might not get as many touchdowns, but like his efficiency that he was playing with last year, not as many big plays, something like that. I think all that comes down a little bit. I think we do need to temper a little bit on Tony Pollard. But I think maybe like RB 50. It's hard for me to like
I
see
got
an
him at
RB.
I got him at 9, and I got to move up Josh Jacobs now that he is in camp. But so that'll move him to 10. But I
I
don't
think
know. It's
it's just
just
like Joe. It's just like Joe Mixon. I mean, it's going to be volume based. It might not look great, but at the end of the season, it's going to be like Zeke the last couple of years. It may not look great, but at the end of the year, I mean, you still got a RB1 somehow. It
yeah,
makes
because you
no
have the
sense.
boom weeks and the bust weeks to your Tyler Lockett syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay, JJ Wang. So everybody look forward to next week's usually our most listened to week. We have the guests. I got us a couple special guests lined up to do bowl predictions from the fantasy community, at least two, hopefully three or four coming in. We'll see what happens. That'll be little blurbs. But give us some weeks of wisdom. Give us some wisdom, because this is really our last true discussion, because next week's bowl predictions and they're just wonky crazy.
Yeah. So I just got a question for you. Since it's draft season, I just got a draft question for you. Like I've always said, I'm a very biased fantasy player. I so are you more of a I draft these guys because I like them, or I draft these guys because I know it's the right play?
I am somewhere in between, because I have so many teams, and that's part of the benefit and problem with them is I have guys that I seem to have everywhere. Like I have the Akers, a couple of Javante Williams, a couple of those guys too. I got all over the board, and Waddle. But there's other guys that I'm like, ooh, I just want to get a little bit. I got a little Mike Evans. I think he's going to stink this year, but I wanted some Mike Evans in case I'm wrong. And so I do go with a gut to a point. I go with, we listen to so much stuff and we talk so much stuff. And so I got to do some stuff to make myself look smart. So some guys I'll take just to prove that I'm right. So it's ego as well sometimes. But I used to be more guys I love, and I didn't win a lot for a long, 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 long time. And
I'm
now,
still there. I'm still there, man.
but I don't I might not get the championship, but sometimes that's just a matter of luck. Like I heard another podcast say, getting to the playoffs is the challenge. Sometimes it just takes straight luck to get you through the playoffs, because you have that. The footballers were talking about having Jarrett Patterson in a championship game a couple years ago for the Commanders. Like that was their starting running back to win the championship. That's luck.
Yeah, and then sometimes what happens when, like you said, your quarterback has been leading you as like top 5 QB all year long, and then week 14 he decides to lay an absolute dog and get score you like 4 points. So I mean, I think fantasy is like 75% luck, 25% skill. I think,
Don't tell them that. They'll stop listening to us.
but
What we say
but
is
you
not luck.
yeah, you still got to know the. I mean, you still got to know the guys. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to like give you as many guys as possible. Yeah, I just need to know that with draft season. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.